Welcome to While We Were Distracted, the podcast where we explore topics that often get overshadowed in the rush of daily life. Please take a moment to like and subscribe. It really helps.
All right, so are you ready to dive into this iOS 18 thing? Seems like everyone's either super hyped or totally freaking out. Upgrade or wait? That is the question.
Yeah.
We get it. I mean, new features are cool, especially those AI things Apple's pushing.
Yeah,
But who wants a buggy phone?
right. Nobody wants their digital life to implode because they jumped on the new OS bandwagon too quickly.
Exactly. So we're going to help you make an informed choice here, folks. We've been digging deep, reading articles, talking to security experts, the whole 9 yards.
They've got a whole stack of stuff here. Articles on those AI features, the Siri upgrade, photo stuff, even time management things.
Oh, and don't forget those security vulnerabilities. There were like a zillion patches in the 18.1 update.
A zillion might be an exaggeration, but yeah, a lot. We've got info from security experts like Kate Flaherty and Sean Wright to help us unpack all that.
Okay, so let's start with the fun stuff. The shiny new toys. Apple's gone all in on AI with iOS 18, and it's showing up in some pretty cool ways.
Well, let's talk about Siri first. Remember those days when Siri would totally misinterpret what you were saying, like sending you to the wrong restaurant or something?
Oh, yeah. It's like Siri had a mind of its own, and it wasn't a very bright mind.
Well, those days might be over. iOS 18 has a new Siri powered by machine learning. It's way more intelligent and conversational.
So you're saying I can finally have a normal conversation with my phone without it going off on a random tangent?
Pretty much. Think about it. You're on your way to a meeting, and you realize you need to find a cafe, but it has to be dog-friendly, for your furry friend, and you need outdoor seating, too.
Oh, I feel that. I'm always scrambling for dog-friendly spots.
Well, with the new Siri, you just say, "Hey Siri, find me a dog-friendly cafe near my next meeting with outdoor seating." Boom. Siri finds the perfect spot, no problem. It can even draft a text to your meeting buddy letting them know about the change in plans.
Okay, that's actually pretty awesome. It's like having a personal assistant who can actually anticipate your needs. What about those photo recognition features?
Oh, those are super cool, too. Apple's always used machine learning for photo stuff, but with iOS 18, it's taken things to a whole new level.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, like you can search for beach photos,
Yeah.
and it'll actually find all your beach pics, even if you didn't, tag them or anything.
No more endless scrolling trying to find that one perfect sunset pic. Hallelujah.
Exactly. And it can even recognize faces, even if someone's gotten a new haircut or, aged a bit.
So it can keep up with my ever-changing hairstyles.
Oh.
Impressive. What other AI magic is hidden in iOS 18?
All right, so for those of us who are, shall we say, time challenged.
You mean those of us who are perpetually drowning in to-do lists?
Exactly. Well, iOS 18 can help with that too. There's a feature that analyzes your calendar, looks at your availability, travel time, even your favorite meeting spots, and suggests the best times to schedule things.
No more back and forth email chains trying to nail down a meeting time. Sign me up.
Right. And if you're constantly juggling a million tasks, there's another feature that looks at your to-do list, emails, messages, all that stuff, and tells you what needs your attention first.
Wow, that's like having a super efficient personal assistant who lives inside your phone. So we've got the glitzy AI features. But what about those user experience concerns?
Yeah, there's always a catch, right? And this time, it seems like the Photos app is the main culprit.
Wait, not the Photos app. What happened? They messed with the Photos app.
They sure did. They redesigned it, tried to make it simpler and more intuitive.
Well, that's what they always say.
Yeah, but it seems like they kind of missed the mark.
What went wrong?
We found this article from ZDNet, and the author is, seriously frustrated. She says the new layout is cluttered and confusing, and finding specific photos, especially downloaded ones, is a total nightmare.
They tried to fix something that wasn't broken. Classic.
Right. And she's not the only one complaining. The Reddit threads are blowing up with people echoing her frustrations.
So basically, the Photos app is a hot mess.
Pretty much. It seems like they just change things for the sake of changing things, And it backfired.
Ugh, I hate it when that happens.
They too.
Okay, we've covered the cool AI stuff and the Photos app fiasco,
Mm-hmm.
but we can't forget about security, right? And we've heard some rumblings about some pretty serious vulnerabilities in iOS 18.
Yeah, rumblings is an understatement. We're talking about a lot of vulnerabilities. A whole bunch of them were patched in the 18.1 update, like 28 of them.
28? That's a lot, even for a major update.
Right, and some of them are pretty scary, like kernel flaws that could let malicious apps access all your sensitive data.
Okay, now I'm officially freaked out. Kernel flaws, what does that even mean?
So the kernel is like the heart of your iPhone's operating system. It controls everything.
Okay.
And a flaw in the kernel is basically like leaving the door wide open for hackers.
Yikes. So they could get into my banking info, passwords, even my photos.
Potentially, yeah. But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. We'll be back after a quick break to delve into those security vulnerabilities a bit more and talk about whether it's worth upgrading to iOS 18 or if it's better to stick with the familiar, maybe even boring, iOS 17. All right, so we're back. We've been talking about all the shiny new stuff in iOS 18, the AI, the redesigned Photos app. But now let's get real for a second. Upgrading to a brand new OS always comes with risks, right?
Right. It's like jumping into a pool without knowing if the water's cold or not.
Exactly. And sometimes that water can be freezing.
So before you all rush to update, we're going to unpack why some folks are choosing to stick with iOS 17 for now.
Smart move. There's definitely something to be said for letting other people be the guinea pigs, you know?
I'm all about that. Let those early adopters deal with the bugs and glitches.
Exactly. Plus, it's not like iOS 17 is ancient history. It's still a solid operating system. And remember, new iOS versions, they often have some kinks to work out in the beginning.
It's like those first edition books with all the typos and missing pages. You wait for the second printing when they've fixed all the errors.
Right. And this article we found basically says the same thing about iOS 18. It says historically, early iOS versions tend to be a bit buggy.
So they're saying, hold your horses, wait for iOS 18.1 or even later before taking the plunge.
Yep. They even point out that Apple's known for releasing multiple updates to stabilize new iOS versions.
Okay, so for those who prioritize stability over shiny new features, sticking with iOS 17.7.1 might actually be the smarter move. More time to bake, fewer bugs.
Exactly. And here's another thing to consider. Remember all those amazing AI features we were drooling over earlier? The Apple Intelligence stuff.
The super smart Siri.
Oh.
The mind-reading Photos app.
Yeah, the main attraction.
Well, get this. Those features aren't actually available in the initial iOS 18 release. They're coming later with iOS 18.1.
Wait, so you're telling me people who rush to download iOS 18 are basically beta testing a buggy OS and don't even get the coolest features? Talk about a raw deal. Yeah, it kind of highlights the whole patience is a virtue thing, doesn't it? Sometimes it's better to wait and see how things shake out.
Okay, so we've got this big dilemma. Do you jump on the iOS 18 train now, knowing it might be a bumpy ride and you won't even get all the bells and whistles right away? Or do you play it safe and wait for things to smooth out?
It's a tough call. I mean, some people, they just have to have the latest and greatest. They're the early adopters, the tech enthusiasts who are willing to deal with a few glitches for the bragging rights of having the newest thing.
I get that. It's the thrill of the, be on the cutting edge.
Right. But then you've got the folks who rely on their iPhones for work or other important stuff. They probably don't want to risk any downtime or data loss. For them, waiting for a more stable version makes more sense.
So it all comes down to personal preference and how much risk you're willing to take.
Exactly. And hey, even if you decide to wait, there's still a lot to be excited about with iOS 18. It's a major step forward in terms of AI integration.
Yeah, it's like we're watching a whole new era of technology unfold before our eyes.
Right. And who knows what the future holds? But for now, let's shift gears and talk about those security concerns in a bit more detail. Those vulnerabilities are nothing to sneeze at.
All right, we're back. We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? AI, the Photos app, security vulnerabilities. But now it's time to talk about the elephant in the room. Apple Intelligence.
Yeah, this is the stuff that everyone's been buzzing about.
So what is it exactly? Is it just a fancy name for something we've already seen? Or is it truly something new and revolutionary?
It's definitely more than just a marketing gimmick. Think of it as like a layer of intelligence that's baked into the whole system. It's designed to make your iPhone more intuitive, like it can almost anticipate what you need.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool. But what does that actually mean in terms of, real-world use? Give me some examples.
Well, we already talked about Siri getting a major upgrade, right?
Yeah, the super smart conversational Siri.
Right. Well, Apple Intelligence takes that even further. It allows Siri to handle much more complex tasks and requests, like way more complex than before.
Like what? Give me an example.
So imagine you're heading to the park and you want to grab some food with a friend. You could say to Siri, "Hey Siri, Find me a dog-friendly restaurant near the park with outdoor seating. And then text Sarah and ask if she wants to meet me there at, say, 6 p.m.
Whoa, hold on. Siri can do all that now, like in one go.
Yep. No more multiple commands or having to go through different apps. Apple Intelligence lets Siri connect the dots and just get things done.
Okay, that's actually pretty mind-blowing. It really is like having a personal assistant in your pocket.
Exactly. And it's not just Siri. Apple Intelligence is also working behind the scenes in other apps, like Photos.
Oh yeah, photos. We talked about that redesign and it didn't sound so great.
Yeah, the redesign has been a bit of a headache for some folks, but Apple Intelligence is trying to make the app smarter in other ways. So instead of just recognizing faces and objects, it can understand context, emotions, even abstract concepts in your photos.
Wait, are you serious? So I could search for photos that make me happy, and my iPhone would actually understand that.
That's the idea. The AI is analyzing way more than just the visual elements of your photos. It's looking at the overall mood, the composition, the location, the time the photos were taken. It's like your iPhone is learning to see the world through your eyes.
That's kind of freaky, but also super impressive.
It is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But it does raise some questions about privacy, right? We're giving our phones access to so much personal data.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, it's cool that my phone can understand my emotions, but it's also a little creepy.
I hear you. It's a valid concern. But Apple is aware of these concerns. And with Apple Intelligence, they're introducing new features that give you more control over your data.
Okay, so what kind of control are we talking about?
For one thing, you can choose which apps and services have access to your Apple Intelligence data, so you can be selective about who gets to see what.
That makes sense. So it's not like Apple is just siphoning all our data without our consent.
Right, and you can also opt out of certain data collection practices altogether.
Okay, good. So there are some safeguards in place, but still, it's kind of a weird feeling knowing that our phones are becoming so intertwined with our lives.
It's a whole new era of technology, that's for sure. And with any new technology, there are going to be some growing pains.
So what's the bottom line here? Should we be excited about Apple Intelligence or scared? Or maybe a little bit of both?
Probably a bit of both. It has the potential to revolutionize how we interact with our devices. But we need to be mindful of the privacy implications, and we need to make sure we're using these tools responsibly.
Well said. Well, folks, we've reached the end of our iOS 18 deep dive. We've talked about the good, the bad, and the potentially game-changing. Hopefully you're feeling a bit more informed about what this new OS has to offer.
We've explored the new features, the potential downsides, and the bigger questions about AI and privacy.
Ultimately, the decision of whether or not to upgrade is up to you.
But no matter what you decide, one thing's for sure, technology isn't slowing down anytime soon. So stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged.
Exactly. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, stay tuned.
Feel free to comment your thoughts or where you would like the conversation to go in a future cast. Please take a moment to like and subscribe. It really helps.